Tiny House Prepper.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill with Tiny House Prepper, and in a previous video I showed you when I built the wood bin for the storage of my firewood. I have now completed my wood processing station. Well, it's almost completed, but let me show you that. But first I have to finish staining the wood bin. So I got the stain that I need to do the wood bin, but in order to use this it has to be 35 degrees, which is probably about 2 degrees Celsius, you know, just above freezing. And for the next several weeks it's hardly going above freezing at all. A couple days that it's supposed to be 40 degrees, it's going to be 80% chance of rain, so I can't use it then either. Today it was only supposed to be 31, but it just hit 35 and it's going to be 35 for another couple of hours, so I'm going to try to get this done real fast while it's warm enough. This stuff, even at this temperature, I guess, is supposed to be rain ready in 4 hours after you put it on. So hopefully I can get this done. If I don't get it done right now, this is probably the only window of good weather, warm enough weather for the next couple weeks to get it done. It's not that cold right now. Like I said, it's 35 degrees, which really shouldn't be that bad. But I guess it's like really humid and the wind is blowing a little bit because I am freezing. I had to go in and put another sweater on underneath of my jacket. It feels like it's 0 degrees. It's crazy. It's not, you know, it's a couple degrees above freezing. Shouldn't feel this cold. But my goodness, I'm cold. I like it. And by the way, if you'd like to see the video of me building this, I'll put a link at the end and down below for you. Now it blends in. Looks like it's supposed to be there. You know, several people in the last video suggested that I can just use the chop saw to chop it into those short 6-inch pieces and it should go very fast and easy. And in fact, that's the way that I used to do it. But I have found a faster way. But let me show you first how I used to do it. Now the firewood that I have has already been split for a normal size fireplace, okay? So it's about the right length and size to throw into a normal wood stove. But this is still too big to fit into my mini stove. This is our little cubic mini wood stove, and the largest wood this will take is 6.5 inches long, which is 16.5 centimeters. So everything that I do takes a little bit of extra processing. So I still have to split this more. So what I would have to do is take all of these pieces and split them before I could chop them. Now, this can easily be done with an axe to split them more. And I can do that. I've done that. But you know, I'm not as young as I used to be. I can still do that, but then after about 20 minutes, I got to stop and take a break. And then get back to it again, swinging that axe. So I have found an easier way to do it. It's a hydraulic manual log splitter. It's not a gas powered, it's a manual one. I'll show you how this works, and it's much easier to do. It's slower than an axe, but I found out that it was I could get about the same amount done because I didn't have to stop and take a break every 20 minutes. So I use it, and it takes me longer to split it, but I can keep going without taking breaks. But anyway, let me show you this this splitter. It's pretty slick. Now this is the manual log splitter. It's a 10-ton hydraulic jack laying on its side. It has a wedge over here. You just take the log, lay it in there, then it's got these two handles. You just start cranking on the handles, and it moves the jack, and it splits the wood. Just like that. So now I've got this split. It's actually small enough around that when I cut it into a 6-inch piece, it'll be able to fit into the wood stove. Now that little manual hydraulic wood splitter is really slick. It's a little slower, like I said, than using an axe, but it's a whole lot less strenuous. I bought that a few years ago. I think I paid in the neighborhood of $125 or $150 for it. I don't remember for sure. I don't have a link for you. There are many different companies that make them. Just go to Google and put in manual hydraulic log splitter, and you'll find many different ones. Then after I get this split to the right thickness, then I just cut them on the chop saw. This is a 14-inch Craftsman chop saw. Just stick it in there. Now that part's pretty fast and easy, but I came up with something where the entire system is a little faster because I don't have to use that manual log splitter and crank these things. So let me show you my new system. So here's the wood cutting table that I made. Looks kind of like a manger, doesn't it? Anyway, this gets me up off the ground where I can use the chainsaw at a comfortable height. I just lay the wood in there, cut the chainsaw right off here. But then I had a problem because I'd cut this one off, then I'd move the next one over to cut it off, and it would keep falling like this. There wasn't enough weight here to hold that part. So then I put a little addition. I did that, I'll show you over there on the other end. So then I built this little thing on here, and that way when I lay the wood in to cut it, it supports it out here, and then with the chainsaw I can cut it here, and the chainsaw cuts down through here, and it supports the wood, and it no longer falls off when I try to cut it. Works much better. So I'm very happy with this. It's much safer. It holds the wood in where it's not going to be jumping all around, especially cutting those little pieces. It's at a comfortable height for the chainsaw. I don't have to bend over to do it. This works really well. Then I get these little pieces, and they're still too big around to go into my mini stove, so I still have to split them. But this is much easier to split this using a hatchet than to split a longer one using an axe. Now I still need to build some kind of a table to be able to split this on. For right now I just have a couple of sawhorses here, and by splitting right on top of the leg it's solid, but I need to build a table that's more secure, also a border around it to keep the pieces from flying after I chop them, after I split them. But it's very easy to just take a hatchet just like that. See, it went flying, so I got to put a border around the table. That's basically it. I can also make little kindling pieces. If I have a piece kind of like this, it's very easy to just chop off little pieces that I can use for kindling. Then I get one a little big, just chop it in half. Perfect little kindling sizes. So I keep the wood right here, and you can see that it's underneath of the roof that I built to protect it. And then I also have the tarp. I've got hooks across the top when I need to access it. I just do that. And that keeps the wood nice and protected. Now, when I built the shed, a lot of people were wondering what I was doing, because on 3 sides I put white siding, and then on the 4th side I put plywood, and then I made an overhang on this side that's 3 feet wide, and on the other side it's only about a foot. Well, I did this because I knew that if I had siding here, the siding would not have stood up to wood being hit against it all the time. This plywood is strong, and it's going to be able to withstand all of that wood, and then I have the overhang to protect it. So, see? I do know what I'm doing. Even if that was 2 years ago that I did that project, I had this whole system in mind when I did it. Now, if you watch any of our other videos and you know anything about us, you know that we are preppers, and so we are preparing to survive when the grid goes down. There's no electricity available, there's no gasoline available, that sort of thing. For right now, I'm using the chainsaw because the gas is available and it's fast and easy. And then our little wood stove does not burn through the night. It only burns a couple of hours before you have to restoke it. So we use the electric baseboard heat as backup when the stove goes out, and then start the stove again in the morning. Now, if there was no gasoline, if there was no power, I could still use this system to process the wood, because my my log splitter that I just showed you doesn't use gasoline. That's why I bought it, because it's a manual one. You don't have to depend on gasoline. And then I can put the logs over here on the table, and instead of using the chainsaw, I have a large cross-cut saw that I can saw it by hand. I got it stored up in the back of the shed. I don't want to get it out just to show you, sorry. But anyway, I have a large cross-cut saw that will allow me to cut them into 6-inch pieces, and then of course my hatchet to split them, so I can still process the wood even when the grid is down and there's no gasoline or electricity available. And then if there's no electricity and we don't have that backup electric heat, yeah, it'll be a little colder getting up in the morning, and when the stove is out, you just have to fire it up, first thing is as soon as you can in the morning to get your place heated up again. Just pile on the blankets at night. I've done a lot of winter backpacking and mountaineering where there is no heat. You just deal with it, but we would still have heat 18 hours a day in the house, even if we didn't have the electricity. So that's our plans for heat when the power goes out. Always prepared. Now, several people have made comments when I built this about the window being so close to the wood bin.
Renee says, "Love the woodshed you just made. Piece of advice before throwing wood in there, cover your window. Our wood chute to the basement where we toss wood in was under a window. Twice the window was broken before it became mandatory to protect the glass." And then Jan Butterfield responded to Renee's comment, and she said, "How about a piece of plexiglass that fits perfectly to wedge into place, and when the season is over, you can just remove it?"
Now, that's something that I have already thought about, and I appreciate your suggestions. So I'm probably going to be getting just a big piece of plexiglass, just cut to the right size, to cover the window in the winter to protect it from getting broken, and then I can just take that plexiglass down again in the spring when I may want to open the window for ventilation. And that's it. That's the basic system. I'm very happy with it. It's much faster and much easier than the way I did it before. And I now have that nice wood bin. It's easy to get the wood out to take to the fireplace. And I just got to get busy, man. When I was working on this thing, I was saying I'm glad to have it finished because now I have a month or 6 weeks before the snow starts. And then it snowed a foot less than a week later. So I got to get busy, and I got to fill this thing up with split wood before the grand solar minimum hits and buries us in 10 feet of snow. So here I go.